Hello and welcome to the official map guide video series. Ever wondered where to go on a map to help your team win? Well, here's how. Today we'll be covering key and handy positions on Redshire in the standard battle mode. This map in general can be characterized as being pretty open, which means roaming around in light and medium tanks that got a lot of mobility is a distinct possibility, while both teams also have large hills to take cover behind. Lots of bushes offer good opportunities to spot and ambush enemy vehicles, while other parts of the map offer good cover from self-propelled guns and positions to side-scrape from. Generally speaking, any kind of vehicle should be able to have a positive impact for their team on this map. If you're a light tank spawning from the north, then you're faced with multiple options. You can either go to E3 towards the big and unfellable tree there and provide spots towards this direction and also on towards the crossing tanks that are trying to go to the castle. Or you could use this line of bushes here and try to provide spots to the tanks driving to the middle of the map. Alternatively, a more passive position would be the trees here that you can knock over and try to provide spots on towards here. If you're a light tank spawning from the south, you can try to utilize that same position in E3 here to also provide spots onto the tanks crossing towards the castle. Alternatively, if you have exceptional mobility, you can try to do a spotting run along this ridgeline here and then retreat back through the water. That way, not only do you counter enemy light tanks that are trying to go into the line of bushes, you should also be able to generate vision onto the campers in this position. If you want to go with a more passive approach, you can try to go towards the middle of the map, just about here, try to take the most forward bushes and also provide lines of sight onto these positions. As always with light tanks on open maps, it is advisable to try and keep your HP in the game, because as soon as some tanks have been destroyed, the map tends to open up and you will be able to make full use of your mobility and camouflage, while your lacking penetration becomes less important. With medium tanks, you mostly have sort of a reactionary role at the start of the battle. Even though that is the case, you can still also try to go towards that E3 position here, try to suppress enemy light tanks and maybe even get a shot into the crossing tanks, or maybe even two. From north, initially going towards C4 or C5, or moving towards the trees in C7 might make sense if you have a tank in the bush line to try and snipe towards the middle of the map. While from the south, using the rock in F9 here to try and snipe towards the middle and also towards the ridge on the enemy side is also an option, but only if you have a light tank doing the previously described counter spots. Be careful though. You may be spotted from both trees at C7 as well as the bush line in the middle. Both of the positions that are marked down right now can easily transition into a river or water push should the situation present itself. This means that your heavy tanks at the crashed Zeppelin here should have been successful. If they weren't, then you can also easily just drive away and provide cover fire from the backlines onto the heavy tanks that should now be pouring out of it. If you're in a heavy tank, you're faced with a choice. You can either drive towards the eastern part of the map where you can find the crashed Zeppelin, or to the western part where you have the castle. If your tank specializes in hold-down warfare, then I suggest driving towards the Zeppelin, where tanks from the north will find the best positions directly under the Zeppelin, while tanks from the south find good hold-downs here. Also, since the recent map changes, it's much easier and also much more effective by tanks from the north to cross over towards the Zeppelin. If side-scraping is more your cup of tea, then I suggest driving to the castle, where you will have multiple spots to do that to your heart's content. But be careful of this position here directly at the big tree, because you should do a wide berth when driving here, otherwise you might lose a lot of HP going there. If you're spawned in a tank destroyer, you will find good initial shots from here as well as here. However, you should always keep a lookout on the minimap. If the eastern flank collapses, then if you're spawned from the north, you will have very good shots into that heavy flank here. And also, if you're from the south, then you should have very good shots onto the heavies towards this position. And vice versa. If your western flank collapses and you're spawned from the north, then you will find a very potent position directly beside the stone here in A1, from which you should be able to control the area. Likewise, from the south, the K2 to K4 positions should also be able to punish approaching heavy tanks. Regarding self-propelled guns, initially A1 to 8 for the upper team are a good position, while K3 to 8 can be good from lower. However, as the battle goes on, feel free to locate to generate new angles onto the enemy team to help your allies. In general, both A and K line provide valuable and well-protected positions for either defending team once the enemy manages to break through. So never give up on the battle until it is actually over. Also, a little tip from the south. If you're very fast and sneaky, you can try to take one of those bushes near the houses and sort of around this area here, because from there you'll be able to provide crazy good spots onto the ridge line here and possibly can even counter enemy light tanks and mediums trying to take E3. Be careful though. This is a very risky move and if not executed properly might lead to your immediate demise. Meanwhile, if you're spawned from the north and you have a tank destroyer or some other tank with very good camouflage values and good pen, then you can try to go to these positions here in A9, from which you have additional angles onto the tanks that are brawling it out near the Zeppelin. Keep in mind, camo for that one is needed though. And while this picture here to my right is probably looking a bit scary right now, I'm sure you'll get the hang of the map after a couple battles. That should be all you need to know about Redshire commanders. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified of future official map guide videos. Roll out!